Hello, welcome to Muddy Boots, South Louisiana's Homestead webpage, YouTube page. Today I'm tackling a problem. It's going to be with the Ford F150, the FX4. And we're going to be using this 4x2 steel tubing to correct the problem. Now, I don't need 20 foot of it. That's just how you buy it. I only need about less than 4 foot. So what we got going on is I run Nito Ridge grapplers, 35-inch tires on 20-inch rims. I didn't have a full-size spare. So I went to the salvage yard. I got a scrap rim with a Nito Ridge grappler tire that I had installed on it. Problem being, it does not fit down there in the spare tire carrier. So right now, it's wedged underneath my toolbox, with my toolbox actually sitting on it, holding it in place. You can see that the toolbox is raised up. Now there are clips in there holding it in place. It's not going to lift up and move. So today's task is to take this steel tubing. We're going to cut it down. So that it fits on here. Underneath there. And what we're going to do is weld it up. Probably some end caps on them, both ends. Trying to decide if I want to slide one completely underneath the back. It really doesn't do anything because the back end's right here. So it's not like there's a lip that runs over the back that would hold it in place, but it would close off this little area down here. I don't know. I might. It may give it some more structural support. It may not. It's just a standard Northern Tools toolbox. And that thing is loaded down. I got a lot of stuff in there. Probably more stuff than I need, but trying to decide if I want to put a 45-degree angle on the pieces. Maybe coming here, going back, just to give it a little reveal. Everything else is all straight edge, so I'm probably just going to straight edge the whole thing. Just come straight down, come straight down. Cut a piece of metal to weld it on there as a cap, keep the rain out, and then dress it all up and paint it. Should be a quick and simple little project, but those are the ones that tend to always get you in the most trouble. And then the other decision I'm going to have to make is if I want to drill down through the inside of the toolbox, through the steel and through the top rail of the bed, or if I want to continue using the pressure clips that are in there. If I use the pressure clips, I may have to do something with it. I may have to get longer studs for that because I don't think it's going to go all the way. But yeah, that's going to be the project for today. Stick around and we'll jump into the next one. Thanks. Again, if you like what we do here, you're interested in seeing more, like and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and we'll go from there. All right, let's see what we're going to work with here. So if I just tuck it in, even with what we got here, we got 19 and 1/16. So the metal is 3/16 inch thick. If I end cap it on both ends, that's 3/8. If I go 18 and 5/8, that'll put me at roughly 7/8, maybe a little bit more with the weld gap. I may just do it 18 and 3/4, throw the end caps on, and that'll put us where we need to be. So if you see back here, I do have room behind the toolbox. I may run a rail across there, but that would make me move this up a couple inches, at least 2 inches from what I can see. The future idea is to put a headache rack up here that would come down. Reason for that is I've got a short bed as it is. From the front of the cab, not the front of the cab, from the back of the cab, the front of the cargo area, to right here on an angle, I have roughly 6 foot. So if I carry 8 foot lumber, it's normally hanging out about here at the 2 foot mark. That puts me about 8 foot. If I carry 10 foot, that's going to be 4 foot out. Technically, if you're 4 foot out or past here in, say, Louisiana, you're supposed to have a flag on it, whether it be a little red rag or a little towel, something like that. So my thought process is put the headache rack up there. I'm carrying 8 foot lumber, and I tuck the wood down in here, and I run it up on an angle like that towards the front with the headache rack sitting right here. That's going to put the lumber right at the edge of the headache rack. Now, I'll have to actually get some good measurements on that to make sure I don't cut myself too short to where the 8 foot lumber doesn't fit. We'd have to figure that one out. So I would probably bring a rail up right about here, maybe a little bit further in. I don't want to be impeding the viewability of my mirrors. I don't want to take the aesthetics away from the truck. I could put it right here on the edge and bring it up. It really wouldn't matter. Put another 2, one on either side of the window, and put one over there on the end. Have my cross runner up above the brake light and cargo light so that I don't take away from it. And then have some nubs on either end so my wood can't slide off. Now, I may put a nub in the middle area so that I can have some tie-offs up there. That's something to think about. We'll have to see what that distance is, but that's going to be a totally different phase of the project. So right now we're just going to concentrate on putting this piece in, getting the toolbox lifted up, having better access to our spare tire without having to empty the entire toolbox to be able to unbolt it and lift it up, because it is chock-a-block full and it is heavy. And right now it's sitting on top of the tire. So I'm thinking 18 3/4 inches is what we're going to do. So I need less than 4 foot. I need less than 40 inches. So just under 3.5 foot leaves me a whole lot of material, because I got 2 10-foot joints here. You can only buy it in a 20-foot joint. They cut it in half for me so I could carry it home in my truck without being too far hanging out over the back. My work truck has an 8-foot bed, so this barely hung out over the back after you take into account the angle and everything. So that'll give me the availability to be able to make my headache rack if I want. Also, another option I can do is I have this piece of lumber in here as a divider. Give me the ability to carry stuff without it sliding all the way that way. And it does slide this way. I could always build something here that comes up, sits up a little higher, gives me a little more room, and then I could actually put some cross runs in it to give me some sections. I carry a lot of my fuel cans back here. Sometimes we'll go grocery shopping, I'll throw them back here. Go to the feed store, you just throw it in the back. It doesn't have the ability to slide around much. It just stays right here. So that's something else to think about. It could be 3 different projects we're going to have going on. But right now, we're just going to concentrate on this one. So let's get cutting. So we got our piece marked out right here. That's just where it was sitting on the rack at the metal place that I got it. Got it measured up the sides, both sides. I haven't flipped it over yet. What I'm going to be using today is just a regular DeWalt, battery operated, with a cutting wheel on it. So let me just put my visor down. I got some visor on. I call this my Halo face shield. I do have some safety glasses on. And we're just gonna make some cuts. I'm not going to bore you with me cutting that, so we'll check back in after it's cut. So the first couple cuts I made, I wasn't real happy with. They weren't real straight and they weren't lining up point to point. Like that side's cut because the bottom's cut, and then I'm cutting there. So what I've learned to do is take my straight edge and my cutting wheel along the straight edge to start the cut. That gives me a path to follow. I can cut nice, clean, straight lines. I obviously can't do this because I don't have 3 hands. So I'm going to go ahead and stop, finish making this cut. I'm going to cut the rest of the box tips out so that I can make 2 more of these. These will go on the end of the pipes so I can weld them up and have nice clean tubes. I'll be back. In order to be able to mark these, to cut these off and have them be kind of straight, I do. I stick it like that. And you see I got those 4 little marks on there. I got that by sticking the saw in here, letting the blade come down and ride on the inside surface. And then I just bring it forward and cutting, bring it back cutting. Did the same thing on this side. This side you can see a little bit better. You bring it straight down so the cutting disc rides on the inside. And that gives me straight across front and back. So now when I flip it over, I've got marks there. And then I did the other side the same. I got marks there. Again, I'll take my square, I'll run it across like this, and I'll hold it there, and I'll make my cut. If you notice, my 2 cut marks line up. So let's cut this out. Something really cool is back in the day, Chenault Industrial Air Park used to be Lake Charles Air Force Base. They have a ridiculously long runway, and the air bases like to do touch and goes. I can't really block the sun out. Hopefully you can see it. That is a huge aircraft. How cool is that? So just a little safety announcement. When using cutting wheels, grinders, any type of tools whatsoever, especially around metalwork, you gotta have the right PPE. I showed you earlier, I got a face shield on, I call it the Halo. I got leather gloves on, as you can see, and I'm working the best I can. And a minute ago, I was just talking about the big planes doing touch and goes. Well, the grinder decided to do a touch and go on the last pass. Now, that's all it did to my thumb. Barely broke the skin, broke through a couple layers of skin, barely broke through the skin in 2 spots, draw a little bit of blood, got down into a little bit of meat. I got full functionality. I didn't really hurt my finger. I just kind of cut the top of it. So, had I not had these gloves on, you see how thick that glove is right there? Had I not had the gloves on, that cut would be that much thicker, and I probably would be into some muscle, some meats, maybe some bone. Basically anything that doesn't sound good like you want to cut into on your hand. Especially if you like your hands and you like using your hands. The only thing that separates us from any of the animals is that opposable thumb that we can use. So, with that thumb, we're able to do things that allow us to have control, like drive cars, open doors, lift lids on trash cans. Kind of the same thing as raccoons. The only difference between us and a raccoon, if a raccoon was any smarter, it'd be stealing our vehicles. They'd be hot wiring cars and stealing them. So, keep that in mind. Let raccoons get a little bit smarter than us, you're going to start losing your rides. There you go. Everything we need to weld up this little job. We got 1 runner, 2 runners, 1, 2, 3, 4 end caps, and 1 cut thumb. An old man once told me back in the day when I was little that if you're not bleeding on the project, you did something wrong. Also, if you don't end up with spare parts, you did something wrong. Nowadays, with modern technology and safety guys around the world, if you get cut, you did something wrong. If you got spare parts, you did something wrong. Well, I like the old timers' theories better. Well, the next step is done. We cleaned these up. We used the old DeWalt with a wire brush on it. Got these pieces all cleaned up pretty nice. Yes, welders only clean up the edges because you'll clean everything else up when you're ready to paint it. I'm going to do like all the other welders do. So, I'm going to weld it up with this little Cracker Jack box. It's a little titanium. It's the Flux Core 125. Here's the box. We've had this thing about a year. We played with it a couple times, welded up a couple little projects. Matter of fact, on that fuel trailer over there, we welded up a brand new axle on it to hold the weight that we wanted it to hold. There may be a project out there on that. There may not. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at my videos and see. If there is, I'll try and link it into the video. And a little Cracker Jack box. I've been fairly happy with it for the level of welding that I do. I don't do a whole lot of welding. I got to run it onto an extension cord. I know you're not supposed to do that. I am doing it because I don't have the availability of having my big generator out here. And as you can tell, my shop does not have power. Not yet. That's in the process. We're working on that. I will eventually put a better ground clamp on it. It's got the little rinky-dinky cheap ground clamp. I don't really like it. One of the suggestions online was to change out your clamp to a better clamp. And I've switched brands from titanium to Vulcan. I got a really nice pair of Vulcan Defender gloves. I like them. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. This is just what I got. It's Harbor Freight Special. So we just run what we brung, as Captain Kleeman would say. I do have a little bit of tip cleaner by Hobart. We got 3 different manufacturers here. We got Hobart, Titan, we got Vulcan. They're probably all made in the same guy's garage in China somewhere, but I don't know. We'll have to find out on that one later. We're going to go ahead and start welding these up again. I don't have 3 hands, so I can't show you how I'm doing this, but we can play around with it and see. Well, folks, there you go. That's 2 pieces welded up with the end caps all on. I got my little grounding lug. That shit's hot. I got my little grounding lug right there. I'm going to break that off. Let me take you inside. I did put a welding guard down, a welding tarp down, just because I didn't want to light the grass on fire. Grinding's one thing, welding's another. Let's take a little trip in here into my shop, and I'll show you what I'm using. You see this extension cord? So this is a Jackery. Those are really good shop towels, by the way. This is my Jackery battery operated generator. It is right now at 73%. When I started, it was at 94%. So it took roughly 21% to be able to weld on those 4 end caps. I don't think that's terrible. I could actually probably weld a good bit longer on that. Probably 4 times, 3 times, 3.5 times as long on that. So that's on a generator. Now I was really reduced on my duty cycles. I wasn't running full welds. I was doing almost little beads, as you can tell. I'm not doing that because I think I know what I'm doing. I didn't do that because I think it's fancy or it looks cool. I did that because this is a tiny little machine. That's an extension cord. And that's a battery operated generator that feeds power to my shop right now. I don't want to destroy any of them just to put end caps on these. So we're going to go ahead and clean these up now and see what they look like. Well, there you have it. From regular stock 4x2 tubing to a ugly weld job. But it did the job. To a cleaned up piece, end cap all welded up. All we gotta do next, paint it up and put it up there. Let's take a look and see what we think this is gonna look like, just out of curiosity. I got a feeling it's gonna sit something like that. So there will be a little bit of a reveal right here hanging off, and I may put something in there for toe down straps or something, I don't know. But that doesn't look too shabby. That's going to get me the height I need and then some, because this is going to get tucked underneath here. The whole toolbox is going to come up. That's going to get slid in underneath there. It's going to get mounted to the truck, the toolbox mounted to the support. Let's see what we look like on our length. I think our length is spot on. I think we nailed it. and I think it's going to be fantastic looking. So, battery operated grinder did exactly what battery operated grinders tend to do at the end of a project. The battery does. So I had to pull out the electric grinder and grind it up. Now, I am not a fantastic welder by any means, but I think my grinding skills are not too shabby. It'll do the job for what I need it to do. So next step is clean it up and prime it and paint it. That will not happen tonight as the sun's going down and I can smell dinner cooking in the house. She must have the exhaust fan on over the stove because it's pouring out the roof and it smells really good. So I'm going to clean up this mess, put all my toys away, and go eat some dinner and probably start editing this first video. So if you like what I did here, if you got any questions or comments, or you think there was a way better way to do it than I did it, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you would have done different. Tell me what you would have done better. Tell me what you liked that I did. Give me a like and a subscribe. It greatly helps out the channel. And once again, thank y'all and have a good day.